joyride. I almost feel as if I could fly. Catch me if you can, 'cause I am free tonight.
Motherfucking Silver Bullet. Hell yeah, Silver Bullet! Shit's about to go down, because I'm reviewing the greatest Stephen King movie ever. If you disagree with me, you can kindly take your opinions and put them in your pocket. Okay, Silver Bullet's got kind of a bad rep. It didn't do that well in theaters, and it kind of gets overshadowed by the other Stephen King movie adaptations. But hear me out on this. Fact, this film stars Corey Haim. Fact, there's a hilarious lynch mob. Fact, there is a chase scene between a car and a wheelchair. Fact, Gary Busey plays Crazy Uncle Red. Your arguments are invalid now. Also, there's a werewolf in this. Oh, and by the way, did I mention that wheelchair is rocket-powered? If you don't think a werewolf movie featuring a rocket-powered wheelchair sounds like the most awesome thing ever, I'm just going to assume you're some sort of mindless automaton Nazi clone. Anyway, the only segue I can think of that can transition from rocket-powered wheelchair is by mentioning diamond-encrusted bacon. So with that out of the way, let's get this thing started. Oh, by the way, there's some violence in this. Just a heads up. Arnie
Westrom was a chronic drunk, and what happened seemed like an accident. The county coroner concluded that Arnie had passed out on the tracks. There wasn't enough evidence to conclude anything else.
Oh yeah, a train would slice your head clean off. Not that a werewolf could knock it off that smoothly either, unless the guy was made of butter or something. Our story is narrated by Jane Coslaw, sister to Corey Haim's Marty Coslaw. While the family is at a town fundraiser, Marty's douchey friend Brady decides to mess with Jane.
I just want to say that I hope we can raise that money before Christmas.
Look alive! Hey, Jane, you wet your pants?
Jane, I'm sorry.
Oh man, I'm gonna make absolutely no effort to help you. Sorry, sis. Actually, look at these people behind him playing tennis. They're not even gonna take a glance over to see who was screaming.
Sure looks like we got a goat that time, didn't we? Shut up, Brady.
I want to take a moment to talk about the characters in this. This is a much more complex film than it has any right to be, which is one of the reasons I enjoy it so much. A big theme in the movie is Jane's resentment toward Marty, who's been paraplegic since birth, since she believes her parents give him preferential treatment because of it. She feels the burden of responsibility because she's expected to watch over him. At the same time, it's not always a conflicted relationship between the two of them, as Marty tries to make up for what he thinks he's done wrong. He's not a perfectly innocent kid, but he's not a little brat either. I mean, come on, listen to his theme. It's a complex relationship built between Marty and Jane, and one that's played amazingly by both actors. I never once felt while watching this that these were child actors. I only saw the characters they played. Because of Marty's handicap, this means that people tend to underestimate him, including the villain, which makes it an asset to him as well. This also cements his relationship with his Uncle Red as one of the few people who treats him like everybody else. Red fights with his sister over this because he believes she can't see who Marty is past his handicap. At the same time, he has a drinking problem and has been through 3 divorces. Marty is impressionable and doesn't see any of this. He sees him as a hero. In some ways, the relationship between Red and Marty's mother parallels Marty's relationship with Jane, which might explain why Marty's mother worries about how he's going to grow up. Every character here is layered with faults and assets, but you care about each one of them. It's what drives the film more than anything.
Red, Marty has enough strikes against him as it is.
He doesn't have any strikes against him.
That I am scared to death that someday he is just going to give up.
He's not going to give up.
Well, he doesn't need you showing him how to do it.
And, at the same time, come on. Gary Busey's awesome. He is the best part of this movie next to the rocket-powered wheelchair. And come on, that's a pretty high standard to meet. He's just incredibly likable, and it's obvious what a good actor he is. Despite this, however, it is with great regret that I must inform you that the word butthorn is not used once in this film. The werewolf attacks continue, and a woman who's attempting suicide is killed, as well as the father of one of Marty's schoolmates. By far the worst death in this thing is Marty's best friend Brady, however. You don't see it happen, you don't even see the body very well, but the fact that it's a child, the fact that it was so brutal, really hits you hard. The audience assumes because a character is young that they're safe, and that's when you realize every character in this film is in danger. However, the father's reaction is a little bit over the top. I feel bad for laughing, but it's just such a silly reaction. I'm also torn because I totally get why he reacts that way, and yeah, it is a horrible thing to find. But, come on, don't tell me you didn't at least chuckle. But the dad is kind of funny anyway, so I'll just laugh at some of his acting from later on.
There is no comfort.
Shut up, Brady. What if it's some kind of monster?
Yeah, what if it's some kind of monster?
Haha, you crazy kid, we just left your best friend's funeral. I think I've established by now that despite this film's reputation, many of its scenes are touching, layered, and even thought-provoking. This, however, is not one of them. The people are rightly pissed off about the recent killings going on, so Mutton Chops here decides to round up everyone at the bar to create an angry mob. And Sheriff Locke here is like, that's private justice. But then he didn't realize that Brady's dad felt really bad about losing his son, so they go full-on torch and pitchfork crazy and run into the woods. They're really pushing their luck here, too. I'm not sure why they expect the crazy killer to be in the woods when they don't even know it's a werewolf at this point. And worse still, the werewolf is one of the people who knows the mob is going out there, and it still shows up in the woods to confront them. I'm not sure who's the most stupid person at this point. And this is supposed to be a really brutal scene too, but somehow King managed to write it like everyone was a complete dumbass.
Hey, over here!
Bobby, you're gonna make lemonade in your pants.
They're running into bear traps and shit before the werewolf even shows up. Holy crap. They couldn't hunt down a 5-year-old with asthma at this rate. So the werewolf finishes them off by hiding under the fog, and I shit you not, it actually grabs the bat from one of them and beats them with it. That's the dumbest and most awesome kill in this movie. It's so stupid, you have to see it to believe it. Well, can't say we didn't see this coming. They died both tragically and moronically.
The Bible tells us not to fear the terror that creepeth by night, or that which flieth by noonday. And yet we do. We do. Because there's so much we don't know, and we feel very small.
Reverend, he was torn apart!
Surprise! It's the Reverend! That's not really the reveal, but it's pretty obvious by now. And yeah, sorry to say, that's about as good as the werewolf effects get. But let's put that aside and focus on Reverend Lowe's character. He's not just a cut-and-dry villain. He clearly has feelings of guilt over what he's done, but at the same time, he knowingly went into the woods to kill those people. He's a man torn between his faith and the monster he's become. I'm going to jump ahead a bit here to later on in the movie when he explains his motives. The reason he kills is because he believes he is saving the victims' souls. For instance, the man at the beginning was the town drunk, and the woman who was committing suicide was also pregnant. Now, there's no explanation as to how he knew the woman was committing suicide, or why he decided to kill Brady, or some of the other folks for that matter, but it does add more to his character than just being a wild beast. Though that funeral scene was just ridiculous. I mean, they had a werewolf playing the piano, come on. Meanwhile, Marty is bummed out because the fireworks got cancelled after the recent deaths. Because apparently they think mass murderers are set off by fireworks, I don't know.
You know, it's not enough that the monster killed all those people. He killed Brady. Now he's got them to cancel the fair.
Yeah, I tell ya, the fair's the worst loss there. So Uncle Red decides to cheer Marty up with a small surprise.
Ta-da!
Rocket-powered wheelchair. Rocket-powered wheelchair! Yeah, it's gas-powered, not really rocket-powered. Whatever, don't you fucking ruin my fun. This kid is on a motherfucking rocket-powered wheelchair. There's an 80s montage of him driving it and everything. This, my friends, is the titular silver bullet. That's right. The title of this is not only the weapon to kill the werewolf, it's the name of the main character's rocket-powered wheelchair. Why is this movie not a Halloween staple by now? Well, once you've given your 11-year-old nephew a rocket-powered wheelchair, I guess the next logical step is to arm him with fireworks to use in the middle of the night with a known child killer on the loose. Way to go, Uncle Red. It worked out perfectly! Alright, how do you keep things awesome after rocket-powered wheelchair? How about a werewolf taking a fucking firework to the eye? This movie is awesome. Even when the characters are incredibly dumb, it's still a lot of fun. Marty tries calling Uncle Red, but he thinks he's just had a bad dream, so he's forced to turn to Jane for help.
He told me something that was clearly unbelievable. And yet somehow, I believed most of it.
Didn't take that much convincing, I guess. Jane goes out collecting for a cannon bottle drive to try and spot who has an injured eye, but this doesn't end up going anywhere.
Little asshole.
She takes the bottles to the church and ends up finding the remains of the bat used on the angry mob. Wait, so he just took that back with him and put it in the church garage? He knew people were going to go in there. Why would that be where he stored it? And why did he take it with him anyway? Jane sees his eye and acts like the most suspicious person in the world before running away.
If we tell anyone, grown-ups, I mean, they'd laugh. What are we gonna do? I think I know.
Wow, good plan there, buddy. So the plan is to taunt the werewolf and die, is it? I mean, they weren't really expecting to guilt him into suicide with these notes, were they? I've gotta tell ya, even for an 11-year-old, I was expecting a somewhat better idea. They go to Uncle Red and explain the situation.
I'm a little too old to be playing the Hardy Boys meet Reverend Werewolf.
Wheelchair car chase. Oh man, I haven't been this excited since the coma patient chase in Hard to Kill. Look at this. This is an adrenaline-pumped thrill ride. A Reverend in an eye patch is trying to run over a boy in a rocket-powered wheelchair. This sounds like the lost script for Goonies 2 or something. Anyway, Reverend Lowe corners Marty and calmly explains why he had to horribly mutilate and kill people.
By killing her, I took her physical life, but I saved her life eternal. You see how all things serve the will and the mind of God. You see, you meddling little shit!
Marty's about to become a meal on wheels when he hears someone nearby and calls for help. Uncle Red is still skeptical, but when he finds paint from the Reverend's car on Marty's wheelchair, he knows something is wrong. He goes to Sheriff Luck and asks him to check out the Reverend, which he does in the middle of the night with no backup. Look, if they thought he was connected with these murders, he could have at least brought 1 or 2 more people. He'd also need a search warrant to check out that garage, or anything he found would have been dismissed in court. It sucks, but here's one of the areas where the film falls short. The final werewolf makeup is decent looking, but the transformation and anything in between looks pretty bad. It's unfortunate since this is a werewolf movie, but usually it isn't too distracting from everything else. Marty and Jane theorize that the Reverend transforms every night, and that as the full moon gets closer, the more wolf-like he becomes.
Why don't you guys tell me how this guy Lowe became a werewolf?
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know either.
That's really how they leave it. They never explain how he became a werewolf, and truthfully, the movie didn't need to. It doesn't feel as if important information is left out, it just seems like there's another story in there that we didn't get to see. So Marty and Jane ask Uncle Red to make a silver bullet for them.
You want a silver bullet, huh? Huh?
The man Uncle Red had gone to see was more than a gunsmith. He was, Uncle Red said, an old-world craftsman, a sort of wizard of weapons.
Ought to be pretty accurate.
Oh, well, shit, it's just a gag. I mean, what the heck you gonna shoot a .44 bullet at anyway? Made out of silver.
How about a werewolf?
That's seriously the first and last time you see the guy. Who was that guy? What about him made him a wizard of weapons? We didn't see anything that indicated he was anything other than a crazy old guy. I need to know, movie. So Uncle Red sends the kids' parents off on a trip he lied about winning through Publishers Clearinghouse. That way, they can wait it out on the full moon, theorizing that the Reverend will attack when he's at his strongest. Oh boy, that's gonna be hard to explain to the parents. The kids look for the drop bullet while Gary Busey fights the werewolf. Take a moment to savor that sentence. Well, I say fight, but it's more like Gary Busey gets the shit beaten out of him, and maybe the werewolf is tuckered out by this. It sounds like he roars like a T-Rex at one point. The kids manage to load the gun again and shoot him. Oh man, the other eye? You didn't! Ah, JK.
Marty? Are you alright? All except for my legs. What? I don't think I could walk.
Ah, you gotta laugh sometimes, am I right?
I love you, Jimmy. I love you too.
I wasn't always able to say that. But I can say it now. I love you too, Marty. Good night.
What are the things I disliked about the movie? Well, the werewolf itself was kind of weak as far as effects go. The tone is also pretty uneven because of some of the goofier moments, particularly the angry mob scene. However, there are a lot of awesome things, like the rocket-powered wheelchair and the fireworks scene, and a lot of genuinely touching moments. The characters were extremely layered, the acting was top-notch, and it was a solid movie. If you've let Silver Bullet slip under your radar up until this point, you might want to think about checking it out. Have a happy Halloween, folks. Next time, we'll be looking at something a little more stupid.
I will destroy anyone and anything that comes in my way.
You will not succeed. Your soul was lost in the river!
You look like you've seen a ghost.
Mr. Owens, where is this?
You have to kill it, Billy, before it kills Spirit River!
The Mystical Adventures of Billy Owens.
Take me on a joyride. I almost feel as if I could fly. Catch me if you can, 'cause I am free tonight. This is a beginning, and I can feel the wind rush by. Yes, you have given me the answer, and you have kept this dream alive. Take me on a joyride. I do believe that I can fly away. I'm free.
I'm a little too old to be playing the Hardy Boys Meet Reverend Werewolf.